KGG here, back at it like a crack addict. We got a 2019 Ford Fusion in for some CV axle service. I'm going to mark the strut tower bolts here because some of them are camber bolts and you just don't know if it needs to be aligned the proper way. That way the alignment goes back exactly how it was. We're going to take off this brake caliper bolt for the brake line, and then we'll take off the ABS sensor line, which is attached to the strut as well. Then undo the CV axle, the end nut, 32 mil I believe. Pop that out and then undo our upper bolts once they're marked. Once they're marked, we're good to go, and then we can hammer them out. A lot of these splined ones are hammered in there, or pretty tight in there, so you gotta hammer them out. I'll show you that here in a second. Here we go. Got it out. See, that's what it looks like. The splines stick in there pretty good. So we're going to bend this arm down a little bit so we can get the CV axle out of the back side of the knuckle. Be sure to not hit anything or pull any wires or brake lines or anything too far. Don't stretch them out, cause any issues. Let's get in here, get a nice good view. The CV axle's twisted up like an alligator that got your fucking arm. So that's got to go. These flex head crowbars, man, are the bee's knees. You just put it in there at the right angle, slide it in, and boom, it pops right out. They are definitely handy when it comes to these CV axles. I'll get that slitted up out of the way. There we go. And we'll slide the new one in. When you're putting the new one in, you need to be careful of that axle seal. Try and slide it in there without nicking the edge of that. If you hit that axle seal, you're going to need to replace it. And then if you're trying to push it in, make sure you're splined in a little bit and then give it a couple bumps and it'll slide right in. If it doesn't clip in, then that C-clip's binding up. So we're going to shove the axle in back here into the knuckle. Then after you get it through the knuckle there, just poking out, throw the nut on the end, that way it doesn't fall back through, stays splined in. And then we'll grab the two upper bolts and we'll slide those in and get those lined up correctly before we hammer them in just a bit. I see a lot of guys who just grab an impact and use the nut part and suck it up to it that way. But a lot of times I see that end spin, the splined end spin, and then it's not accurately lined up anymore. So I like to tap them in there just a little bit so it gets some engagement first. Then I'll use the impact afterwards to pull it all the way together. Let's give this thing some taps. Then we'll let the Milwaukee do the work. And we'll roll the second one on here and let the Milwaukee work again. Then you can't forget your brake line bolt. Get that thing in there and get her nice and tight. And then on the other side, you need to do the ABS line, put it back into the bottom of the strut. There we go. Let's put her down. And once she's down, I like to use a bar to torque my axle nut. I don't have two people usually to be able to step on the brakes and do it at the same time, so I just use a pry bar. That way it keeps it from spinning when I'm torquing that down. You just got to keep going until you hear the click. Beep! It's the best feeling ever. Always got to triple hit the beep. Now we'll put her back up so we can put that tire back on there. Let's roll this pulley back over here. Get her lifted up. Yeah! Once you get her on there, make sure it's on that hub piece, and then we'll spin a couple lug nuts on.
2,000 years later.
One little, two little, three little lug nuts. And once you get them all on there relatively hand tight, grab out the Milwaukee Blaster and have at it. Once she's back on the ground, hit her with some more torque. Beep, 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 and we're on our way. Take it for a test drive. You always got to verify your work. That's a big thing that we do around here. You got to verify, make sure there's no noises, issues, anything. Things happen during repairs. So be sure to verify it. Then send it on its way. And on to the next one. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.